tried to join us a second ago. I don't even know when this is going to happen.
I know.
What the heck? What time is it? No, that was a few minutes ago. Hello.
Wow.
It's live.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Is
Do
it
we
gonna
have
work?
a picture this time?
It works.
We even have a picture this time. Okay.
What?
If you saw this just a second ago and you just saw a blue screen, we have no idea what's happening. Maybe it was liking our jackets. I don't know.
Yeah, I just wanted to take it on.
Okay, we're live. We're live. I'm not live in the Rebels group though, so hold on.
Yes, we are.
Oh, we
We
are.
totally are.
I see we're live in
Wednesday.
button gear. Oh my heck! Welcome to the already super fun live edition for April 17th of Live and Unscripted with your host Jennifer Saunders and
Leah, spelled Ligia.
how do we say mine?
Jennifer spelled JJ.
Why do we spell it that way? Because my name happens to be Jennifer Jill, and I grew up being called J or JJ. And my cousin Corey, who you can go back and watch his live and unscripted on the righteousrebels.com page, or you can go to the Facebook group Righteous Rebels, and it's in there as well. I'd go to therighteousrebels.com. It'll be easier to find. Anyway, Corey was like, it's spelled JJ.
Right. So, how do we do that? Because you would go through the whole spelling of Jennifer.
I would go through the whole, yeah, just, it was me trying to be funny. And Corey's funnier, so we're just going to say spell JJ. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. I feel like I'm wound a little bit because it's race week here in our world. And what does race week mean? It means it is the... Oh my gosh, when did I acquire that race? 2008, 2009?
Hey, you can't take my job, Jen.
Oh, I forget. I'm not the host today. I'm the guest. So with that said, I'm going to turn the time over to Leah.
No, we're going to do breathing.
Oh, we're going to do breathing. I don't know what I'm doing.
This is live and unscripted. This is how it rolls.
I love it. My mind is set on race stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I did tell Leah that she had an idea for today's live and unscripted. And so I guess I get to turn it over to her. But until then, we always start with breathing, which probably would be a really great thing to do right now. And today you're welcome to do it however you want. If you want to do a box breathing, do a box breathing, which is a counting in for a certain count, holding the breath.
I'm not live in.
Releasing. I'm hearing my own voice on another thing. Releasing that breath for the same count, and then holding the exhale. Today, I'm just going to focus on just breathing deeper than I typically do. So all the way down into my sit bones, I'm going to fill it into my pelvis, and I'm just going to breathe in through my nose and out through my mouth. This is a practice that I do often. If I find myself getting wound up, I will just... It gives me a moment to pause that brings my head and my heart and my gut into coherence. It allows me to just let go of what's happened or is happening and what I think is going to happen, and just bring me into this space where I can actually feel. I can actually sort out the details and the facts and what's actually going on. And it's a place where inspiration can happen. It's a place where I can easily and more healthfully. I'm just going to make up words all over the place today. Whatever. Into that place where I can make decisions that actually are helpful instead of hurtful and possibly even harmful. So today, we're just going to breathe. You again, feel free to do it how feels best for you. It's just pausing today. I like to invite you to do it with a downward gaze or closed eyes, whichever feels best for you. And with that, we're just going to start. Let's go for about 30 seconds. I'm going to take closed eyes.
the smart ass in me wanted to snore.
Oh, yeah. I actually feel like I could have a little nap. Is that to keep me awake?
Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
okay.
It was totally gonna keep you awake.
I was thinking as it popped into my mind as I was breathing, just focusing on my breath to make sure, like I noticed it up in my chest and through my shoulders, and then making sure that I push it down deep into my belly. And if that's something that you're unsure if you're doing, a really easy way to notice is to take this cute thing on the end of your arm and just place it lovingly on your belly and maybe say, "I love you, belly," when you stick it down there. And actually feel your tummy move in and out, or even go a little lower and feel just below your belly button. Can you breathe clear down there, or maybe into the small of your back? We used to, like when in my choir days, I'd say, breathe like you're inflating a tire around your hips.
Why would you want to do that?
Because it's really breathe deeping and helps
Oh,
work your.
Really breathe deeping.
Oh my gosh.
So I have to share this story because every time Jen comes up with a new word, it makes me giggle and reminds me of this moment of she's telling me a story. She's getting ready for the race, and
this was last year.
Yeah, last year, and she says, "Whatever." And it just made me laugh because it's whatever is like, did that just come out of my mouth? I totally did. And then I'm going to go with it.
Right? And that's just what happens. Like I'm thinking two words at once and they just, whoop. Like the one time I was giving a presentation, a speech, and I used the word clapter. I was thinking clapping and laughter, but I put them together and I created clapter. So, and the room started laughing and I wasn't sure why they were laughing. And then I paused and I said, "What did I just say?" And they were laughing because I had done, anyway.
This has such a like elegant kind of count vibe.
Ooh, count?
Like,
you know, like Count Dracula?
Yeah. Like, okay, so in case, we're celebrating and getting ready for this epic event happening.
Wait, show the hoodie on that one.
Oh, yeah.
We got Asher. So when your hoodie's down. When your hoodie's down, that's not gonna work. When it's on your back like this, Asher actually appears in the right direction.
See, there you go. See, I didn't need that long anyway.
Little pats on the back.
Yeah. So this epic event is happening, and this is the sweater design thing.
Yep.
Look, it says Badash on it.
We got Asher over here. Asher's our like mascot. Our logo is actually a volcano spewing cute little stick figures out of the volcano.
Yeah, and this year's theme was VIB. So if you can't see it, it's a lanyard, and there's like a VIB pass.
Melting.
It's melting because it's just such a hot event.
Ask me the question.
What does VIB stand for?
Where did you get that? It means very important badass. Very important badass, which happens to be you. And speaking of that, I want to welcome all of our peeps who may be watching from the Button Gear Facebook page. That is where we give all of our information for the Spitfire Ultra Trail Challenge, which hasn't been announced yet. You're slacking on your job.
For what?
Oh, wait, I haven't given her the reins completely yet.
For what?
Taking over this. You're the interviewer. I'm supposed to like just answer your questions.
Whatever. I know how this works with you. Just play back and forth. It wasn't an ouch. It's a recognition of patterns.
It's true.
So because when something comes to you, it's like I have to say it. I can't hold it anymore. I might literally explode if I hold this anymore. Did I get that right?
That was
okay.
Really good iteration of that. and really true. But thank you to those of you who are watching from the Righteous Rebels Facebook group, where we normally host and post these, also from my personal page. Also to those watching us on YouTube, and possibly we've got LinkedIn today. And just a huge welcome to those over on the Button Gear Facebook page. So with that, I'm going to just turn the reins, and the microphone, which could look like this, over to you.
So I have this bell in front of me, and I had the thought
I'm
every
curious
time that
as
you
to
go.
Why.
Oh, I'm so excited. So this is my first year actually being a part of the Spitfire and what that all
Welcome.
looks like.
And I just want to say thank you. No, shut that thing up. That's the only time I'm going to say that because I really love the sound of these. No, I just want to say thank you for your involvement in it. The posts. If you're on the Button Gear page or you've seen the post over on my personal page, that is all Leah's work. I give the vision and the idea of what I would like to have created and put out into the world that way. And Leah takes it and shows it back to me, and she shows it to you, and sometimes she even makes it a whole lot better. So I appreciate your involvement in that this year and how you've like helped us step up our game.
Yeah, it's been fun, and I'm like, where do I start with this? So I've heard so much about the Spitfire in the last year, and I always get a kick out of what your Button Gear page is and why, because really I think the story starts there, and then how that's evolved for you over time. So tell us about what Button Gear is and how that started for you, and we'll evolve from there.
I'm like, ooh, where do I even begin? Back in, I don't even know the date. It was maybe like 2004, 2005. I was living up in the Sugar Salem, Idaho area. And I have the kind of soul that I like to say it's that I have adult ADD. I don't really believe that's what it is. I just believe that I think of all these fun things and I want to do them. And there's so much life to be lived and so much to be learned. And I was feeling a little bit, I was a stay-at-home mom to my two beautiful little girls who aren't so little anymore. And just feeling a little bit unfulfilled. And like, I had more to give and that I wanted to give. And I came across a group and some people that I know. Well, no, that's how racing started. Button Gear actually started as a brand I wanted to build and create women's fitness clothing that was cute and affordable. Because especially for like our bigger sized athletes and there just wasn't cute stuff back then. And if there was, it was really expensive. And so that's kind of how it started, is just this wanting to put myself out there and do something big that I hadn't ever done before. And I sat with a friend and we created the Button Gear logo. We went through all of the like angst of like, are people going to be upset with the name? And the Button Gear actually goes back a little farther to my college days when I was struggling, and my roommate handed me a button inside of a leather gear, and she said, "Do you know what this is?" Yeah, I got the picture really quickly. So just created a company where I could do coaching, and I could do life coaching through Button Gear. It was all about taking action, getting the gears moving, taking action for yourself.
Oh, getting your butt in gear.
Yeah, getting your butt in gear. Yes. This is the logo we created. Often you'll see it this way or with the bee sitting on top of this. So Button Gear. Yeah, that was a really cool process. But what's been interesting is to watch how it's morphed over the years. And I still haven't made fitness clothing, but what the heck am I wearing?
You totally have. It's part of it.
It's not stuff that I created. It's not my creation, but it is my designs.
Your idea.
It's my ideas. It's Leah's designs. And so in a way, I guess that part has been fulfilled and I haven't really paid attention to it. So like, aha moment. I still actually would like to, that dream of creating, it doesn't even necessarily have to be fitness clothing, but some designs and t-shirts and stuff that way it's one that still kind of comes to me. So
right, what I'm hearing is like the whole idea is like encouraging people to get out and get active and move and
to live,
to
live alive. That aspect has never changed. It's not a verbiage that I used until really like a few years ago when I did some rebranding, and we've rebranded several times because this is life and clarity comes. Okay, let me clue you in on something. Clarity comes through taking action. Action brings clarity. You can have a dream. It really drives me crazy when people say, you have to be so clear on what you want. Well, okay, awesome. Go for it. But really, you can have this beautiful dream and all of that. But as you start to take action on your vision, that's where clarity comes. I should say, in my experience and the experience of the people that I know, that's where clarity comes from. Now, there's always outliers, and there may be people who actually just have the clearest vision and are able to see it all the way through. Sure. And that's amazing. I just don't want to give a false pretense ever that that's how it works. It's been my experience for myself, and again, talking with other people, that it comes through taking action, getting your butt in gear.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So you've said to me before, you've done trail runs. You've done like 3 100-milers and many others. But what was it that got you just so into trail running?
So I think that's a step back. And it's like an in-between question of the one you just asked and the one before is with button gear. I love giving back. I love helping. I love serving. And we, many years ago, took a friend who had a son with autism camping and another single mom. And so there were all these little kids and my little kids running around, and we were at Redfish Lake and boating and just having a great time. But I was watching this mom attend to her son, and she handled it with so much grace and what looked like ease from an outsider's view. It might not have felt like that to her. But I just noticed the feelings that I had of like, oh my gosh, Lada, he's over here. Now he's over there. And watch it. Like that's the angst that I felt. And I had heard her talk about wanting to get a support dog for her son with autism. And I thought, I wonder if there's a way I can help with that. And I thought, well, maybe I'll put on a race. So I created a race up in Rexburg called the Rolling Hills Classic. We ran it for a few years, quite a few years. In fact, it's no longer, but we raised $5,000.
Oh, I never knew that.
And yeah, it was. But here's the beautiful thing is it's that give and take. Like I gave all my profits to them, and they're like, hello, you did a lot of work. And what was really beautiful is they gave me some back. So I gave it to an organization. I knew several people with kids with autism. And so we provided that money to their organization to use as they saw fit with the people and the families inside of that. So that's kind of how that started. And then as I would never really would have classified myself as a runner. I don't know that I still classify myself as a runner. It's just something that I do. It's something that I enjoy most often, not always. I like how running makes my body feel. I like how running can make my body look. I love the community that running, the different kinds of people that I've met, really from all walks of life. And what I loved about the trail running is one, it put me in my environment, in the mountains, on the dirt. I can be out there and think without thinking. I can just get lost in the run itself and what's going on. I loved watching how people dressed, like crazy shorts and like button down shirts, Hawaiian shirts. And it was very different from the things I had seen in road running, in some of the road running races that I had done. Road running's not my favorite, but trail running really caught and captured my soul.
Tell us what the difference is for you in that experience.
One is surface.
Yeah.
Like I love the softer surface of the trails. I love the technicality of the trails.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
the variety of scenery and places that you can run, and it puts you. I don't love running on pavement. That there's I can't say you train differently because I'm not super awesome at training. I just run. Tell you about what?
The technicality piece. I don't think I really had an appreciation for that because I did most of my running on pavement.
Yeah, I had
shoulders.
to. Yeah, I had to.
And I don't think I really appreciated what the technical side of trail running really was.
Yeah. So back in the day, probably 13 years ago or so, I had a friend who we met up in Bozeman, and we were just going to play, and I was going to run like 3 or 4 miles that day, and she was going to run like 8 hours. And I was like, you're doing what? You're what? Like, and that's how I got introduced to trail running. Is she ran a race called Old Gabe in Bozeman. It's a great race. I would highly recommend that one, and I look forward to doing it again sometime. The first time I ran it, it was probably considered my first long trail race. I got my ash handed to me, and by way of like, that thing was hard, and the technicality of the trail itself is not so much, because there's not a lot of like rocks and things you've got to overcome, but technicality by way of steepness. And at least I did the 25K. She did the 50K. I think in the longer distance, there's more technicality. So technicality means, is the trail a single track? Is it a Jeep or a dirt road? Is it, are there lots of rocks and roots to overcome? What's the steepness of it? And when you start getting into trail running, those are things you look at, is like the technicality of the race and the technicality of the trail. Mm-hmm. And they're actually rated by number.
Oh, that's so, I didn't know there was a difference that way.
Yeah, it's, I loved it. And so, being the personality that I am, I just jumped right into it. Like, I'd run 50 miles, I think, before I'd ever run an actual official 10K. And before I'd run an actual official marathon, of which I've only done once, because it was on pavement. But yeah, I just got this fascination. I helped this friend in her first 100 miler, and I did the last 27. I'd never probably run more than 6 miles, and I was helping her for the last 27, not knowing how I was going to do this. I watched her. This was in it was called 100 in the Hood, so Mount Hood, Oregon area, and I helped I was like, what do I do all day? Because they take a long time. And so I asked the race director, hey, are there ways that I can help you? I'm going to be here. I'm going to be at the aid stations anyway. She was like, yeah, actually. And she sent me off with water that I could take to the various aid stations as I went by them. But what was cool is I watched people all day long while waiting for my friend to come into these aid stations. I watched them come in and out from the 10-mile aid station to the 16-mile aid station, whatever the distances were. And I watched the clothing they wore. I watched the shoes they wore. Some were in like minimalist shoes. Some people were in sandals. Wow. Running 100 miles. Like, I was so intrigued by what I was watching. I watched people come in looking fresh as daisies, and others like they were half dead. And they weren't even very far into the race at times. I watched how they carried water. Some had belts, some had it in their hands, some had it on their backs with hydration, all kinds of hydration systems. And, I watched people come in bloodied up because they had fallen, or it just was intriguing to me. And I thought, wow, I thought I had set my bar high for myself, and realized that, whoa, there was a lot more to go.
Other level.
And so that's kind of how I started getting introduced to trail running, and recognizing like why it was a good fit for me and why I loved it.
Yeah. So let's go. How did you come across the Spitfire? Will you share that story?
Yeah. So the Spitfire wasn't actually named the Spitfire. It was the Manam Butte Trail Race, I think is what it was called, for a little while. It was run by a fellow named Michael, who has passed on. And he'd had it for a few years and had tried different distances and such. And so as I was getting into trail running, a friend of mine was like, hey, you ought to go try this run out on the Manam Buttes, which is about 20 to 30 miles minutes from where I live. And I thought, well, that sounds fun. And I signed up for the 10 miler, and I got out there, and I just remember, like, I'd already run a longer distance race, but I'm trying to remember if I had run an actual mountain race yet. I don't know that I had. Maybe Old Gabe. But I remember in running the Menam Trail Challenge, I just like the warmth of the day, and there was a slight, like this gentle breeze, and I remember it blowing through my hair because I had long hair at the time, and I just remember thinking, oh my heck, this is so hard and it's so much fun. Feeling my body move in the ways that it did, and coming on the part where there's chains at the top to help you get to the rim, and then the different surfaces, the sand, and going through the caldera and all the sagebrush, and then you get to the part where there's like all of the lava rock formations, and we're climbing up and around and through the lava rock formation. I just was like, oh my gosh, I'm so in heaven. Like, I love this thing. It is literally where I fell in love with trail running. And so I was super excited when a few years later, Michael approached me and said, would you like to have this race? I was like, yes, sir, I would. And so I was able to acquire the race. I ran it under the same name for a few years. And then I had some people reach out and say, we think you need to rebrand this race. Like, they're not really buttes. They're dormant, tufted volcanoes, two of the world's largest. And they're like, you have an energy about you, and this area has an energy about it. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to take that into consideration. And
so where did you come up with Spitfire?
I think because I knew they were the volcanoes, and and my personality.
Fair.
I had a few people say, Spitfire was good because it worked for the race and it works for you. So it just sounded fun. I figured there were some fun things we could do with it, by way of using the word badash and just using the word ash in a place that it feels a little precarious just because of the culture. And
Asher, right?
Asher, we have Asher. We brought Asher on board several years ago. Thank you, Deb, for bringing that vision to life for me. And it just fits. For a long time we used the North Menam Butte volcano, and we also ran on the desert for our longer distances when we added the 50K, which is now a 55K.
57.
Actually, more like a 57. And then in 2020, we were able to get the permissions. Thank you, Chris Carney, for taking action on all of that for us to use the South Butte, which is all private land. And so we run both of the volcanoes out there, and we have distances now of 5K, 12K, 30K, and 55, 57K.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting, especially looking back and going, this is where I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And the journey that has taken me, and the falling in or out of running for little periods of time, then coming back into it and falling out. But that this is something that I get to maintain and build for other people is pretty awesome.
How long have you been doing it now?
Oh my gosh. Since like 2008, maybe 2009. I don't remember which of those years was the first. I think I acquired it in 8 and ran it did my first one in 9. And what's crazy is I really just acquired a course. I had a list of people that weren't really too excited to run it. And the cars parked. We actually parked in the parking lot. I decoupaged the logo. I created a new logo, and I decoupaged the logo. I have to find it somewhere. Onto rocks, and that was our awards because we didn't have a budget. We didn't have sponsors. And I think we had 35 or 40 people run it that first year or two while we got our trail feet under us and figured out how to really run this thing in a way that's magical.
Wow. So you started with 30 to 40. What's your registration right now?
Well, last night I think right now we're at 255. We've had up over 300. That's kind of our agreement with the BLM is 325, 350-ish. So
you're like what, 80%?
Yeah, this year actually our 55K is full, our 30K is full. Our 12K we leave a lot of spots open for our 12K, just because it's a really popular one. And also we cap those other races because we want to be respectful to the private landowners that we're running on their land and not have a bajillion people running on their land. But to experience both volcanoes is awesome. So the 12K still has spots, and our 5K, that's crazy. Our first few years, our 5K and our 12K had like 80 to 100 plus people in them, and our 5K has 27 right now.
Yeah, that's wild.
It is wild to watch that the bigger distances.
Yeah, like that you capped out at your 30 and 55K, but there's still a lot of room in the distances. So
yeah, and what I love about this event too is it is such a beautiful place to like start getting your trail feet figured out, and it's not flat by any means. People often come, they're like, yeah, I'm just practicing for that Spitfire, but they don't realize like they're going to get practice because there's not a lot of flat. Even as you're running around the rim, there's still ups and downs. We use the service road on the east side. We go up the main trail on the west side. I believe the 55K has around 67,000 feet of climbing. We actually made it a little easier in the elevation gain and loss when we used the private butte, but we also made it a little harder because of how we use that land, we added some miles. But our 12K, I believe, is around 2,300 feet of climbing in that 7 miles. It's it's a great training ground, and it's a great place to come just fall in love with being outside, but also fall in love with trail running.
Yeah, I haven't run it, but we've been there, I don't know, 3 or 4 times now. And it's when Jen says, oh, do you want to go there? I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited because I love the energy, like you were saying, of that place. The caldera feels like you just feel like you're going into a whole different world.
Yeah, there's a magic. There's definitely an energy.
Well, my daughter came and she hadn't been in something like that before. And she even said that, and I just thought that was really cool. Like it's beautiful, it's challenging, it's fun,
it's unique.
Yeah, it's super cool. So I love coming on the way down on the face. It's because it is there is a steepness to it, but it's fun, and you can kind of round the bends, and it's just a lot of fun. So yeah. So why do you keep doing this? It's a lot of work and getting people together and forethought, and you got to contact the BLN and the law enforcement to make sure you're following rules that way. There's insurance. Like, it's a lot of work. Like, why have you wanted to keep doing it year after year after year?
Yeah. That part makes me emotional, actually, because having run it myself, and again, it's a place where I fell in love with it, but also having had it as a beautiful training ground for other events that I've done, and springboarded me into some longer races, including the 100-milers, and knowing the challenge of doing hard things, and just knowing what it takes to overcome moments when you're like, what the hell have I done? And you're questioning your life choices, and that you pay to do it. That's the thing, is you're paying to do it. And you're like, why do I do this to myself? And I've experienced the value of that in my own life. And I've experienced the changes that happen both physically and emotionally and mentally and spiritually in a person, the transcendent moments where you just realize something different about yourself and about the other people that are around you. I love the camaraderie and the community that takes place in trail runs, and all the beautiful people that I've met on the different races that I've done, just in a moment when you're just like, oh, I'm so tired of being alone, or, oh, there's this hard stretch coming up. And then all of a sudden there's a person by you willing to just like hang tight because they may be feeling something similar. And then one of you gets to a spot where you're feeling better, and you fist bump and say your goodbyes and be like, hey, good luck on the rest of the race. And then you hobnob at the end. And for me, it's just this beautiful and I have an idea of what people are experiencing and how they're pushing themselves. And some people are pushing themselves a lot. They're really testing their edges. Um, we have people who've run this race over and over. And one, thank you to those people for continuing to show up for us and to show up for yourself and helping build this event. But I think even those people, though they know the course, they're still finding ways to push themselves and practice. But there are people who do this for the first time who really are pushing edges and having to dig deep to make it to the finish line. They might be hurting physically or definitely mentally. And I love the moment of seeing them come down that last stretch and getting to cheer them on, getting to hug them at the end, and this. Every finisher gets a bell. And someone asked me the other day, why do you do bells and instead of medals? And when I was trail running lots and I would be out in the middle of nowhere, what felt like forever, and you hear a bell off in the distance, and it's like you're not alone, and that someone else is reaching an aid station, and that soon that bell's gonna be ringing for you. And so for me, we have cowbells out on the course because there's a beautiful energy to it of like just being seen, being known and celebrated while you're out doing hard things. But what I love about it at the end is that, and I invite you to stick around, enjoy the potato bar at the end, but also ring your bells. For those people who are coming in, it's this beautiful energy of, at first there's just a few bells, mostly the ones that I'm ringing or some of the volunteers are ringing as the first few people are coming in. But by the end, the parking lot fills with the sound of bells, and those people who are coming in who almost have worked harder than anybody else, they've been out the longest, that energy, and why, even though they're so tired, they cross with tears often, but just knowing that an entire parking lot of people just welcome them home with the sound of bells. And just, it's such a beautiful thing. I don't really have words. It's a feeling, and it definitely brings tears.
Yeah. I love when you tell that story and just how, just what that means to you, and just the feeling, I'm not alone. I'm doing this hard thing, and there's someone out there watching for me. And
right. Well, and back to the question of like, why do I keep doing it? One, I love it. It's a lot of work, and there are days I don't love all of the things I've got to do. It's challenging to go out and talk with people and trust that they're going to follow through on what they say they're going to do to help, and that they will follow through, and that pushes my edges sometimes, and talking with people and sponsors, and hey, if you want to sponsor, let's talk. We would love to have you. But also, I just totally lost my thought of like, I love doing it because it's the camaraderie piece, really. It's the bringing people together. It's the watching of a dream and all the pieces. It's the button gear piece, and knowing that these kinds of events. So this is a lot of what I do when I'm coaching a client in a life coaching setting. Is I like to do physical things or have them do physical things, because so often an event like the Spitfire actually looks a lot like life. There's a lot of up and down. There's a lot of terrain that is unknown, or that's going to present fear, or we're possibly going to, questioning our life choices, or we're going to fall and get scrapes, or we're going to maybe get lost, although you can't really get lost on this course. But I love how these experiences, and this is what I did for myself when I was out doing these, is it was more than just running an event for me. It was, how does this reflect back in my lived experience, my everyday lived experience, and the things that I get to move through and to face and to move around or over or under in everyday living. And so even though some of the things, there's a lot of things I'm like, talking to people and trusting again that they're going to follow through. That's probably been the biggest piece for me that's challenging. And when they don't, like having to put it out of fire and find someone else who can step into that place. But to this week and last week, watching all the pieces come together, having the meetings with people and watching my house fill up with stuff, like it makes it challenging to move, but it's so fun because I get things like this in April and it's Christmas in April for me. But just that piece of, I ask myself often, do I want to do this again? Do I want to do this again? And yeah, because I love knowing that this is something that will assist people in other areas of their life if they choose to do that.
Now, you don't do this all alone, obviously.
Oh my gosh.
So tell me about your volunteers and about your assistant race director. Like,
yeah. So this is like my dream, but like most dreams, it takes a lot of people to pull off. And we've had probably 1,000 volunteers over the years. It takes a lot of volunteers. We're probably upwards of, just for this, probably 50 plus volunteers just for this race, to be in the different intersections and to run the aid stations, which this year, huge shout out to our Idle Falls trail running women's group, who is doing our aid station. We call it the middle aid station. So it's on the south end of the North Butte. And then also to Ashley and Brody Baird, who will be representing Swag Factory, who will be taking over the aid station on the South Butte this year. We call it our furthest point aid station. And all the work that they do to make those things fun and to take care of our runners. So we've got medical people. We have Air Idaho who comes in and makes a presence. Like you said, our emergency personnel, which is the Jefferson County Police Department. We also have our ham radio people who probably bring the majority of our volunteers. There's been years we've had 40-ish, I think, just of them. And I affectionately call them my hammies, or the hammies, and the work that they do to make sure that we know, especially where our 30 and 55K runners are at. And just the safety piece. We have.
Sorry, I'm going to interject for just a second, because I saw the value of that. I haven't seen that piece, but telling a story.
I love that piece.
Yeah, just telling the story of that you lost a runner.
We thought we lost him.
Yeah, and he just didn't check in, and they weren't sure, and just that.
I think he sat down between checkpoints and was there for a long time.
Yeah, I just thought that was neat that you had that kind of eyes on all your runners. And I'm like, there's so many runners. How do you keep track of everyone? But I'm sure they have.
I don't, but I will tell you that our ham radio team does a spectacular job of that. And I love the check-ins with them. Todd Smith has been the go-to guy for that. This year, he's handing the baton over to a fellow named Daniel Owens. And Daniel, just kudos and thank yous to you for the part that you'll play. We have photographers who come and volunteer their time and their services to make sure that we can offer free pictures to our runners. We have, we have our sponsors who actually give dollars to help boost this event. We have sponsors who do in-kind services. Great Harvest, who provides cookies. We have Smith Chevrolet, who does Smith Chevrolet does our potato bar. All of the like sour cream and butter and the cold toppings, and they usually bring some sodas and Gatorades at the end for our Smith Potato Bar Palooza. And then we have Traven, who cooks those potatoes that he gets from I think it's a family member, but local farmers who donate those potatoes. We have the landowners who have agreed to let us run portions of their land. We have the BLM who we permit through to use the Butte. There's a lot of pieces. Our t-shirt people, our marketing and designing people. I'm sure I'm missing some, but it's amazing to watch it all come together.
Well, Rena's like,
oh, Rena. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Rena. I was going to say her first, Rena. Rena's been my sidekick almost from the beginning. And the pieces that she takes care of, registration and reaching out and doing our insurance and some of our permitting and answering emails and questions and porta potties and all of the duties that she does. I couldn't do this without Rena. she's held a lot of my tears and frustrations over the years and done so beautifully, and lots of pats on the back and smiles and yummy sodas and shared sweet potato chips.
there you go.
So you'll see Rena up top at a point. I think she's going to be at the space where you go into the caldera. Rena loves to be up top and cheering runners on that way. So when you see her, high five her, tell her thank you. She does a fantastic job. In fact,
what will she
do
wearing?
that for all. What will she be wearing? I don't know. Yeah. Well, yeah, she will be wearing a vest like this, but she'll probably be freezing her ass off, so she may be a little more covered. She'll have on a jacket that'll have this logo on it, more than likely. The vest, she'll have that this year. But watch for her, and really all of our volunteers. Give them a high five. Tell them thank you. Even if you're dead tired, it doesn't take much to say, "Oh my heck, thank you for being here and supporting me while I'm dead tired." It goes a long ways for our volunteers, and I make it really clear that I love my volunteers and the time and talents that they share with us, and we don't tolerate any disrespect of them. And we actually have started disqualifying people from our event who mistreat people who are serving and giving of their time. So,
yeah, so fun. So, what would you say to someone who's just, they're a little nervous, they've never done anything like this before? How do they prepare? Like, I guess I have like 5 questions at once. So if I'm feeling apprehensive about going to do something like this, and
I would say good for you.
right? But like,
good for you, and it's natural and it's normal and it's okay.
Yeah. How can I prepare for if it's my first time?
Oh my gosh. My first thought is just do it. Just do it. Go and do it. Even if you do it badly, go and figure out what it's about. Watch the people around you. It's like anything. Taking a test, a really hard test or a really tough class, sometimes we do it badly. But if we're aware and we're willing to be aware, we can learn a lot along the way. Ask questions to people who run around you, who run trail runs around you. It is different, and I do believe you got to prepare a little differently. Know how to eat while you're out running. Make sure that you hydrate. Huge thanks to our sponsor, Hammer Nutrition, who will have their gels and HEED products out at all of our aid stations. I put the cups away. They also are providing collapsible cups that can be used at aid stations. We encourage you to use them or bring your own because we're a cupless event. We're really working at cutting down on the amount of garbage that we...
I'm glad you brought that up. That was one of my questions.
That we collect at this event and that we have to haul away, or that the BLM has to haul away. It's taken a few years to catch on. I'm hoping this year we have a more successful year that way. We also ask our racers and participants to bring their own plate and utensils for the potato bar afterwards that they can take home with them. Again, in an effort to cut down on the amount of garbage that we use. So
this might be a tough question, but what makes your race different than other races?
That's an easy question.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Me. Me. Because I care. I care about my racers. I care about my volunteers. But really, it's the volcano. It's the area. I just think the uniqueness of it. When you're up on top, you get views all around of, southeastern Idaho up into maybe parts, the sand dunes, up into Yellowstone. Cool. You'll see the Snake River, definitely on the east side and the south sides, and you'll see it on the west side. Like there's just, with good weather, you'll see beautiful views of the Grand Tetons. You'll see into Rexburg and Rigby and Idaho Falls, and it's just I just think the uniqueness of the event, that it's on two of the world's largest tufted dormant, we got to say dormant volcanoes.
What's the thing that you want your racers and volunteers to walk away with the most after being at this event?
Knowing that they're valued and they're loved. Like, really, that's the biggest things, and that they were supported in doing something hard, and that they had fun doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a competition. There are awards, and we do that, but and for those that's your thing, like, totally awesome. We support that. We honor that. We have awards for it. But really, that every racer and every participant, whether you're walking or running, feels supported, and that they feel welcome, and that it's something that they feel good enough about that they'll want to come do again, whether it's our event or someone else's. And there's a lot of great races around here, and we support lots of them.
Is there anything I missed that maybe you wanted to share?
Oh my gosh, I'm sure there is. Smith RV, thank you for giving us a trailer to stay in so we can be warm.
Is there a story running this that really sticks out for you? I mean, like, it's 14 years of Spitfire memories.
Man, I think there's so many that just kind of mush together. It's the hearing the individual stories of, like, a guy who was a mail carrier who had lost a bunch of weight and was out doing this for the first time. It's the 71-year-old who I actually adjusted the course for, so that she would be able to do it. It didn't make it any easier. It just made it so that she would be able, like, that, because we have a lot of older people who come and do this event. And like, we've had our youngest participant when she started was 9, and she ran the 25K and placed.
What?
Every year she's come and run this race, she's placed. As a 9-year-old, she placed. Like, she just would find somebody's feet who was in the beginning and follow them.
Oh.
Like, it was amazing.
Awesome.
Emma, so many beautiful memories of having that kiddo and watching her grow up through the years running this race. And watching our older participants come and do the same things as the 9-year-old or the 29-year-old. Watching people come and set course records, I'm like, I don't even know how you even did that. Just the moments of celebrating someone down that last stretch and having them collapse into my arms and feeling their tears, and just like, hearing them say, like, oh my gosh, I did that. And I get to celebrate with them. And, I've had people say, like, you're the race director? Like, you're actually talking to me? Like, you care? Yeah, I'm the race director, and I care about you. I care about meeting you and celebrating you. Now, am I going to remember everybody's name? I'm not. I'm just not. I wish that I was in a space that was a thing. I recognize a lot of faces when I'm out and about. People will say hi, and I really love that. But I do appreciate just getting to celebrate people and watching all of our efforts come together in a way that people enjoy.
Love that. So, if you are in the area, there's still some spaces left for 5K and 12K.
Definitely some spaces in the 5K and 12K.
Come challenge yourself. You don't even have to run the whole thing. It's a beautiful excuse to be out in the amazing weather. It's still looking like it's going to be awesome. And just be out there and be in the energy and just the atmosphere, and come say hi. Like, I'm excited. This is my first year being at the event. So I'm excited to see what that looks like and what it feels like, and just all the pieces watch all the pieces come together.
One of the things I love that just popped into my memory is the fires. Our big fire, our branded fire barrels that we start burning early in the morning because it's cold. And again, just the ambiance, and I'm just thinking about all the things we do to set up, and the fires. I got that idea from a race I did a bajillion years ago, and it was dark and cold, and they had barrels out branded, and it was just neat.
I'm excited to see what you always talk about, just the 55Ks starting with their headlamps and making their way
Yeah,
up
you watch
the
them
mountain.
snake up it's so rad.
I think that's so. I'm looking forward to seeing that. But yeah, it'll be quite the experience. If you want updates on what that experience is, we invite you to go check out the Button Gear Facebook page, and I'll be posting lives and updates on that page. And just when registration is going to open for next year, because that's going to be earlier.
Yeah, this year we're going to open it in July. We are making a few changes to our policies and procedures, mostly on one, we're opening registration several months earlier than we typically do, which means some of our deadlines as far as our rollover policy, as far as early bird pricing and things like that are going to be shifting. So just a heads up on that to register early. Those dates are going to be earlier. They'll probably be at the end of this year than where they typically are. So some shifting that way. There was another thing. Oh, registration for this year. If you want to get in on a 12K or 5K spot, registration ends at midnight tonight, Wednesday, April 17th at midnight. I highly encourage you to register online. It makes our job a whole lot easier, and Rena will thank you, and so will our ham radio people. If you're a 55K runner or a 30K runner and we're full right now and you still want to run that, show up on race day. We always have people who don't show up, and we'll more than likely get you in. We'll get you in. So just a way of procedure, you can come an hour before your race starts. So if you're registering on same day, if you're a 55K, you can start coming at 5 a.m. Your race starts at 6. If you're a 30K, you can start coming at 7 a.m. I mean, you're welcome to come before. Just don't go to the registration tables or the check-in tables before 7 a.m. Your race starts at 8. If you're running the 12K, you can arrive at 8 o'clock. Your race starts at 9. And if you're a 5K, you can arrive at 9, and your race starts at 10. We will do a quick course overview about 20 minutes before each race start. There's plenty of bathrooms. We'll have the two that are already always on site, plus we'll bring in an extra porta potty. So there'll be plenty of space for you to use the facilities. But we're just excited. We're just excited to see you. And for those of you, we did order a few of the extra hoodies and t-shirts. If you want to get those inside of your race bag and make sure that you get one, reach out to Jennifer at spitfireultra.com and let me know whether or not you want a t-shirt or a hoodie and what size. And then I will email you back. I'm like, do I want to do that to myself?
I don't know. Or you can buy it at the race.
You can buy it at the race. There will be a table
with the extras and past years.
Yeah, so hoodies are 35, t-shirts are 12. We will have past years gear available. We'll have some amazing stickers available. We'll have some beanies available, and we still have a few hats available. So there's that. Yeah. Any other questions?
What do you want to leave our listeners with? Any parting words?
Man, the first things that came into my mind were just take action. Just take action. We know it can feel scary in all of the areas of life. And this is just a beautiful opportunity to get your butt in gear and to own your righteous rebel and to live alive. I mean, really, what else are you going to do? I don't love the other options. So
right.
Take action.
There we go.
Take action. And we'll see you on Saturday morning.
Yes. At the Manan Buttes. Trailhead.
At the North Manana Butte Trailhead.
North Manana Butte Trailhead. Okay.
Thanks for asking the questions today.
Yeah.
That was fun. You did a good job.
Yeah, you did too.
You didn't have to ring the bell.
I know. I was really tempted. I wanted to just to hear it, but
now she's going to keep that thing right at her side every time we do this. So, all right. Thank you guys. We appreciate you. Remember, be bold,
be brave,
be a rebel. We'll see you soon.